Evening everybody. Tonight we're in the workshop looking at a monitor that failed on us at North East Retro Gaming event a few weeks ago. This is the monitor, this is a Wells Gardner WG4951 monitor, which was in my Juno First machine, and it had been having a bit of a flaky do for a short while, and I kind of ignored it, and I'd reflowed some dry joints and all that sort of thing, and most of the problems had gone away. And on Sunday we powered it up, and it lasted for about 5 minutes, and obviously as things get warm, and it just went, meh, can't be bothered. Anyway, so I finally got the thing on the bench about a week ago, and it's been bugging me ever since. Now the issue with it was that I would get HV, I would get net glow, I would get the static sound off the yoke, which is the horizontal vertical drive working for it, no problems. So that was a real bugger, because I wasn't sure what the heck was causing it not to show a picture. So I've got it back here on the bench and fired it up to wind up the flyback, so you'd expect to see a grey screen. No, nothing. So, okay, so it's not, at this point, we know that we've got HV, we know that we've got net glow, so we know that we've got the heater voltage going to the back of the neck. And we know that we've got what we call deflection, so because we can hear the hum going on the coil there. All right, so having a look around the schematics for it, I started to focus my attention obviously to dry joints on the board, touched up one or two that were in various places all over the thing, replaced a couple of capacitors that failed the if capacitor manufacturer not equal Panasonic test. And still nothing. So out with the schematics for it, which I've got over here. Yes, here we go. Out with the schematics. Basically, this chip here in the centre, that is responsible for pretty much everything. It's an HA11423. It's basically a combined horizontal, vertical, Uncle Tom's Cobbly, Wishy Washy Woo's Chinese Laundry, the whole lot all in one chip, pretty much. So, with knowing that I was getting some life out of the monitor, I figure I've got power supply. I've got stable power supply from the mains. Usually that's when you can't get the deflection side of it to start up, and a few other bits and pieces. So next I started looking around the input connectors from the video, which are there's 6 pins there. There's the on the side here. I'll just point at it with something. Yeah, so on the side here these are the input pins for the video signal, and they loop to those pins there, and those pins basically on the other side of the board are jumper wired just purely to there. Anyway, so I traced them out, reflowed some of those, took them out, replaced the cables, no change at all. So what could it possibly be? Well, given that I've got no picture, and that I'm thinking it's had an issue in the past where it's been away for repair, and it was some cracked tracks. As you can see, some repair work down here in a few different places. I started to think to myself, well, is it the same thing again? So I tapped the side of it here, and lo and behold, you know, with a little bit of a substantial tap with something insulated like a rubber, the rubber part of the torch here. It starts to spring back into life. So we know we haven't got a failed component. What we're looking for is a cracked joint or a cracked track or something like that. So I decided to start investigating some of the voltages and tracing out the wires. Now pulling the schematics. Pin 14 is where the voltage comes in, basically from what we call the B+, which is all the way down here. So 130 volts up there, goes all the way along around there through that resistor there, drops its voltage down to around about 12 volts and ends up at pin 14. So carefully with the clip lead, etc., pin 14 got 12 volts going there, but what I should have is about 12 volts going out to the other side. Now, Wells Gardner, in their infinite wisdom, which is something that a lot of the other monitor people didn't do, was decided, with their schematic package, to produce this really cool table of voltages. And it says IC301, which is that HA11423 we've just been looking at, has an input voltage at pin 14 of 12.8 and should have a voltage of 12.1 reading on pin 5. I'm getting nothing on pin 5. So, after tearing my hair out and tracing this pin 5, and I literally went point to point to point on the circuit board, so where pin 5 is here, so we can zoom in a little bit. How far in can we get? There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So pin 5 goes all the way through these resistors over here and all the way, basically, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so that forms part of what we call the 15 volt circuit. Now, the 15 volt circuit eventually, according to the schematic, is the sync amplifier, or part of it anyway. So I haven't got any of that now. I'm starting to get good, get better with monitors. I don't understand every little bit about it, but I can tell you that I don't have anything on there. I've got 0.4 volts. That's not right. So that tells me I've got a cracked track somewhere or something's not connected. What I couldn't find, if you look here, was this bit where it says 215 volts. So just a few minutes ago, I was starting to sort of think, well, where the heck does any of this go? So I was tracing it out, and I actually ended up over here, down by the flyback. And I'm going around the pins and everything, and what I found was this R701 here goes all the way up here, and goes to this pin here. Well, let's point at it correctly, to that pin. And that pin, if you look very carefully at the side of it, I've desoldered it to find it, and basically has a trace missing around it, or the pad had all cracked and come away. So I've been around all these other ones and checked them and all the continuity's right, and this one here, pin 10, I thought to myself, well, I'm getting continuity from the end of 701 here, because the only way to check this is to go continuity beep and sort of follow each trace, go point to point to point. So following it round, I come up here and I find I can get to here, but I can't get to the pin on the flyback. Alright, so then what I do, it's a brainwave moment is this, it's a total sort of late night kind of thing. I thought, right, well, let's see should pin 10 actually be physically connected to R701, and there it is, R701, pin 10 right next to each other in a direct path, so yeah, they need to be joined together. Goes through a diode, goes through a capacitor, and it goes onto this line here, joins this line with this little node here, and then going up here, what do I find there? An arrow says 250, so plus 15 volts pointing across to there, and basically that's the end of that circuit. So, with that in mind, what I'm going to do is, I thought I'd just tip it up so we could see it on the camera. I'm going to pop it back on there. Obviously I've bridged that connection, and if I power it up using my test power rig, in the mirror over there, what you'll see now in a second is a grey screen, and that's what I didn't have before. And if I can get to it, there it is. I've now got control back over that using the flyback voltage, etc, etc. So next step for me is I'm going to stick a test board on the thing and leave it to run for an hour or two whilst I'm still up and about, and see what the result is. So let's just stick a test board on. Be right back. Right then, so I've just had a little bit of a tidy up on the bench and hooked up a test board. Good old arcade 60-in-1 vertical board. We're ready to power up now, so we've double checked all our connections. I've checked the schematic because it uses these 0.156 IDC termination blocks, and this is set up for a 900E USA Hunter X monitor, but just reading the schematic and just figuring out which way in the pins are from the top down sheet, which is that one which shows you where they are, you can figure out which way around they're supposed to go. So anyway, so let's have a quick look. So in the mirror over there, let's see what we get. I'd say that was a pretty good picture. I'm not going to bother adjusting it too much. I'm happy with that. What we'll do is let's take a walk around the other side of the bench and have a look at it actually on the screen itself. There's some D-goes in that top right hand corner. That's fine. I haven't actually got the D-goes connected to it. Looking closely at the screen, the picture looks nice and stable. It just wants adjusting in place. Obviously on the camera it's going to look out of sync because of the way that the camera sync works with the screen. So I'm happy with that. I think I will put the D-goes on just to make sure, just doubly sure that it works, and then it'll be a case of popping it back into its cab later on. I'm going to just run it I'm going to switch it into game mode, let it run through, and just let it run for an hour or so. And if it's fine with that, then I'll attach it back to the thing. And the next video you see after that will be with it back in its cab in the arcade. See you all soon. Right then, so a little bit more tidying up around the bench. Just turn the screen back round so I can see everything that's going on from this side at a glance as I walk it around and do some things. So let's fire her up. I've got 16:1 board back in game mode because then it keeps the screen nice and refreshed. You can see some Juno First screen burn in this monitor quite badly now. I mean, I've actually turned all the settings down, but this will be from the years of constant play and things like that in an arcade, and then its previous owners. So let's fire her up. Yeah. Oh, sorry, we're still in test mode. Okay, let's just have a quick reset. Test mode is switch 4. Switch that off. Throw that. There we go. System initializing. Now, I've not really taken much notice of what these boards actually do, but my guess is that what they're doing is they're starting each ROM set that's up on here, because it's kind of a MAME variant that it uses. I think what it does is it loads and starts each ROM set in turn, and then forces itself back to the menu, so that when you select a game, it can very quickly just switch to that process. So it wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't actually have 60 threads running in memory. That's probably going a little bit too far technical. But then again, this video was quite technical. It was about the inner workings of a monitor. And thank God for schematics, that's all I'm going to say for it. There we go, and we're booted up. So have a look. Now, there's no sound connected to this, but I don't really care. There's no joystick either. So all I want it to do is just show me a screen. Again, the screen and all the parameters on it and everything are sized for Juno First, and that's where I want to keep it. So I just want to run the thing now and make sure that dry joint doesn't give out after, say, half an hour. So, as I say, I just inserted this. Some colour calibration I think I could do too. I did actually hook the D-goes back on, and I have put the chassis back on its not completely secured to the back of the frame, but certainly back where it should sit, because the cables for the D-goes aren't brilliant. There's a nice little shot of MS Pac-Man. Oh, there we go. So the D-goes did kick in and start working, which is great. So I'm going to leave it to run for an hour or so, and then it's getting quite late now. Let's have a look. What time is it? Time is 22 minutes past midnight. So it's definitely a midnight monitor repair, this one. So I'm going to leave it running for another half an hour whilst I'm up and popping around, and then tomorrow I'll put it back in the cab and we'll wrap the video up then. Okay, catch you later. Okay, and we've moved on a couple of days since we last looked at that monitor that was on the bench. It was running on test mode for a good couple of hours and absolutely fine. So we're going to put it back in service. Here's the machine itself, and here's the unfortunate notice that's lived on its screen to remind me to fix the damn thing since it came back from Northeast Retro Gaming Event. So we're going to pop it back in the cab. So we're going to move the thing out. We've got a couple of inch of floor space there to put the thing into, and let's move the cab out, get around the back of it. We have to take the control panel off and do all sorts of kind of weird contortionist stuff to put this one back in. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're at the back of the cab now, and the monitor sits, there's the glass there, obviously, if you can come through. So the monitor sits on this bracket there, and that one over in that corner, and basically that's how it gets held into place. Let me just pop the light on here, so I can go the right, there we go. So it's always a bit of a contortion job to put it in here, because you're putting it in heavy end up, and you're hoping that you don't bash the back of the monitor on here as you put it in. So it's not in here on the floor at the minute. I'm just taking the control panel off, it's over there. So let's go get the monitor, let's bring it in, let's set up a tripod, and let's get the thing in. Okay, so we've got the cab, and we've now got the monitor. So we're going to pop the thing back in. So I'm going to basically rest it onto here and slide it under this little clip over here, and that should be it. And hopefully we're not going to kill it. So I think the easiest way is for me to lift it onto the back of here for now, and let's have a look. What's a good way to get this thing back on there? And there we go. So we've got the thing in, and I'm going to have to get the box of bits for it. Everything's on securely. That'll go nowhere at that point. What I want to do is get the bolts back into it. There's 4 bolts, and I need to get them. What I did is I stuck them into a bag or something, I think. Where did I pop them? Ah, in the bottom of the machine. Okay. So what we have is 4 of these bolts here, and then we have a couple for the control panel as well, which just this second. Let's see, 2. Yeah, there's the 2 control panel ones, and here's the ones for this. You're supposed to tighten these up through the control panel, so the manual says. But anyway, okay. So all that's left now is to plug the video cables back in, which are these 2. And, there is one other one, which is an earth. Do these first and get an earth. Right, and then down here is the power supply for it. Clicks together there, and then there's a big screw here, and you attach there's a green earth cable, just as a precaution. Now I can't stress this enough, I mean, even though these things will work happily without the earth cable in, you shouldn't really run the cab, especially when it's got a metal control panel, without having good earthing all the way around it. Okay, I got that started. I'm just going to go grab a screwdriver. I'll be right back. Okay, let's get this screwed down. Oh, good. we are good to go. So there's only one thing that I could have done wrong. Which, there's a release. There it is. So there's only one thing. I've tested this on the bench. There's only one thing that I can actually have done wrong. And down there where the video connectors go on, they can go on one of two ways round, and I've either got them the right way round first time, or they both need reversing. And so what we're going to do is let's turn the cab back around, and let's put the control panel back onto it, because we know that bit's done now that we need it off for. And let's see if we can power the cab up. Right, there's a switch up here for it. Now what we've done is reverse the yoke connector. Okay, that's easy enough to resolve. But at least we've got the video connectors on right. So let's turn the yoke round and get it the right way up. My test board must have been in screen flip. Okay, so that's the yoke flipped. And one working game. I'm happy with that. That's great. So, there's only one thing left to do. Okay, we've fixed the game. There's only one thing left to do, and that's play the game. I suck at this game, but I love it. What I'm waiting for is the planet thing to turn up. You get double points. Ah, shit. Well, I would say that that's working. Alright, so successful repair and a little bit of a game demo as well, and I absolutely suck at this. There's a little bit of blueness still to the screen. That's just the I'm not sure whether it's the game or whether the net card on the monitor wants adjusting slightly. Maybe I'll look at it some other time, but for now the thing is the fault that was occurring, which was the fact that there was no picture at all being shown, that is now fixed.
Next up for the Warbench is a Hunter X9000 that has, for some reason, has no 26 volt line and is generating about 0.4 volts. Hey, so that's going to be a fun one to sort out, but hey, that's next. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and see you on the next video soon. Bye.